Good morning, everyone. This morning we will start off with our new lesson, that is third lesson, that is the Malefactor by Anton Chekhov. Now the Malefactor is a Russian short story, now which displays between the educated and uneducated people in Russia. Now when we look on to this very short story by Anton Chekhov, we are going to find Peasant known as Denis Grikoyev, who is working, or who is giving all of his effort and hard work in order to earn his living by fishing. So in this story we are also going to learn about the magistrate, who is a learned man and who is questioning to the crime or to something wrong that is done by Denis Grikoyev, a peasant of a village named Kilimov. Right? And then when we look over to the story, we are going to find about how the justice is being done to the peasant. We are going to find the peasant as an uneducated person. He is not aware of the crime that he has done. And the crime that he has done is he has unscrewed the nut from the rails that fastened to the rails. Alright? That's what we can find in this very story. At the same time, we can also find the theme as a poverty. We can find the theme as poverty, justice, responsibility, control, and hardship. This is all about the life of Denis Grikoyev that he had faced in the walks of his life. And the watchman caught hold of him while he was unscrewing the nut on 11th of July. Therefore, he was brought to the magistrate in order to question. In the midst of it, we can find the magistrate is confused that whether he's really a fool or he was acting as a fool when he was asked about why he unscrewed the nut. Alright? Now, when we look to the story, let me highlight some of the story. We can find Denis Grikoyev to be a very thin and a tiny peasant who lived in a village called Kilimov. Alright? And we can find that his saggy beard, his matted hair, he is untidy, he is unclean, and looking to his physical structure and the way of his appearance looks and seems to be like an angry spider. All right, that's what we can find. Why do we compare Denis Grikoyev to the angry spider? Is that because of his unshaved and then unkempt hair, that his even eyebrows hairs are long enough to cover his face. That's the reason why he's being compared to a spider. Now when we look over to the story, we can find again Denis Grikoyev. I repeat, Denis Grikoyev was found or was caught by a railway watchman known as Ivan Akinov on 11th of July. He was unscrewing the nuts that was fastened to the rails. Right? That's the reason why the watchman brought Denis Grikoyev to be investigated or to be questioned by the magistrate. And when he was brought to the in front of the magistrate, he was questioned and he was asked that whatever the railway watchman Ivan Akinov have told or have narrated about unscrewing the nut is true or not. And then Denis Grikoyev, in an innocent with a tidy, unkempt, saggy beard, who had a ferocity spider looks like, he was unaware of the crime, and then he said what? He kept on repeating the word what whenever the magistrate asked him the question about the crime that he had done. This we can find how Denis Grikoyev, he was such in an innocent way that he doesn't find any guilt or any wrong in the things that he had done by unscrewing the nuts. Alright? Now when I talk about the nuts we can find that is fastened to the trails so that the thread will not run off. Alright? So that the thread won't run off and it can ply. The train can ply it well. So that very nuts he unscrewed, and when questioned, he is saying that what the nuts needs for. He's again questioning to the magistrate instead of answering. That's the reason why magistrate told him to answer what he is being questioned. All right, and then he told that he needed or he unscrewed the nut because as a peasant, his profession was fishing, and in order to use as a signer, all right, or in order to use in a fishing rod, all right, in a hooker, he unscrewed the nut, and it is not only he, but all the villagers of the Kilimov village, they unscrewed every time whenever they needed for the fishing. Now, again, at the same time too, we can find that this incident occurred, all right. Denis Grigoriev was caught unscrewing the nut on 11th of July, right? 11th of July, which we can find the railway watchman, I repeat the name, Ivan Akinov, caught hold of him and was brought to the magistrate for questioning for the wrong deeds that he have done. Now, at the same time too, we can find about when magistrate keep on questioning that why do he need that nuts, he keep on responding that that was his only profession, all right, and he's saying that he did nothing wrong or he did nothing crime by unscrewing the nuts from the railway track, all right, that was fastened to the rails. He's saying that he have done nothing wrong because in his eyes, as an uneducated peasant, he find that it was appropriate to unscrew because the nuts was fit enough in order to use for the fishing lines. All right, that's the reason why he doesn't find any wrong in what he does. Instead of that, he is exposing out, all right, the deeds of his village, of his villagers, that is Kilimov, that the villagers of the Kilimov, they have been unscrewing the nuts for many years. Now, at the same time too, we can find about when the magistrate asks why do he needs or the villager need the nuts, he is saying that without the nut they cannot go for a fishing, right? They could not go for a fishing because the nuts is heavy and it is perfect or appropriate fit enough to go for the fishing. And when the magistrate inquired and asked him that why can't they use a nail or any other forms of an iron, but Denis Grigoriev, the peasant, is saying that it have a holes and it is heavy and it can sink even to the bottom, where he mentions a number of a fish, now which we can find. He's saying that the bat that is used for fishing needs a nut that have a holes already and which is heavy, which we can find if you bat your hook with a seiner or a rods, that those are names of fish. Do you think it should sink to the bottom without a singer? You tell me I'm lying, laughed Denis. A fine bait seiner would make floating on the top of the water. Those are the names of a fish. Keep in mind, bass, pike, and eels always take ground bite. A floating bite would only be taken by a garfish, and they won't often take it. Anyway, we haven't any garfish in our rivers. They like the open. Now this is what we can find about. He is saying that there are numbers of fish that he has mentioned, and they are made of the fish that won't take, all right, the bite if the bat or the hookers or the fishing rod hookers, if that is floated on the surface of the water, there won't be any fish that will take a bite to eat, and then they can't get a fish. Therefore, they need a heavy singers in order to go down to the water, to the bottom of the water. Then only they can get a good fish for the living. That's what he's saying. He's saying that he's not lying. See, he is being so truthful at the same time. He acted like a fool. Might be not that he naturally acted as a fool in order to fool the magistrate, but it might be such a fish that because of his uneducated, alright, because of his illiterate, he might have mentioned each and every of the things that his own villagers have done by taking out the nuts from the, unscrewing the nuts from the railway track. and then how they use it for the fishing. At the same time too, we can find about when the magistrate cautions him, right? When the magistrate cautions him that it is a crime that which you don't know, and he says that it is not his work to know because he is uneducated, right? It is not his work to know. It is because he is uneducated, and it is a rightful thing that should be known by the magistrate and other people because they are well educated. Now, which looking on to these conversations between Denis Grigoriev and the magistrate, we can find such that the dark side of Peasant, that is Denis Grigoriev, as an uneducated person, and on the other hand we can see the light part of the magistrate as an educated person. All right, the educated person is relating every of the facts, how it have affected by unscrewing the nut. On the other hand, Denis Grigoriev, as a peasant and uneducated, he revealed out, right, the dark side of it. The dark side of it is unscrewing the nut, and then the purpose of using the nuts just for the fishing, right? Just for fishing, he unscrewed the nuts from the railway track, and instead of using any other materials, he's saying that it is not good, right? Only the nuts can be used for a better fishing that can flow down to the bottom of the river, and then they can get a fish for their living. See, this is what we can find. The dark side as well as the light side of educated person and uneducated person. But on the other hand too, he is not wrong. Denis Grigoriev is also not wrong, because that is what we use a heavy errand in order to go for a fishing as a singers. Now, keeping aside, now when we see more going on with the rising of the rising of the story, now what we can see out here is that Denis Grigoriev, who is a peasant, now he began to reveal every of the hidden things that his villagers have been doing. Right? Now when we look over it, we can find out here again. See, when he was cautioned by the magistrate about the unscrewing the nut, and then he is also mentioning about some of the nuts. All right, he is also mentioning some of the nuts that which was given by his friend, and then that was hidden under the slates. All right, that was hidden under the slates, and then we can find the name of the person who have given him the nuts, and it is such of it One-Eye Simon. All right, was given to him by Inaska, who was the son of a One-Eye Simon, and he also revealed about that there are many people who have been unscrewing the nuts from the trails, because that was the professions of the villagers of the Kilimov village. Now we can also find about, see, Mitrofan Petrov, right? We can also find about another character name is Mitrofan Petrov, who used to make a fishing net. Now when we talk about the fishing rod, we use as a singer, we just use one nut. All right, we just use one nut in order to go for the fishing. But now when we talk about the fishing nets, now let us just imagine about, and let us go on and then try to visualize the images of the fishing nets. We will find a numbers of singers are used in the net. Now, Denis Grigoriev, he is saying that Mitrofan Petrov, he have been using, right, the nuts in order to make the fishing nets and then sell out to the villagers. Now just imagine about how many nuts might he have taken, Mitrofan have taken in order to make the nets. Now let us just question it about. And then to search of it, the magistrate told Denis Grigoriev that that might be the reason why the train might have ran off and had an accident. But Denis Grigoriev is still unaware, and he is still not touched to the mistake that he and his villagers have made, and then he keep on saying that it was the magistrate duties in order to know, as he is educated, and for them it is not his purpose because they are uneducated. And at the same time, he is like justifying himself by saying that it is not such of it, all right? And then he is being informed, magistrate informed to the district court by saying that might be the reason why, right? Or that will be the reason why in the future, like there will be an accident and then the people might be killed. And to such of it, he is saying that he is not aware, all right? He is not aware, and that he don't have any thinking or he don't have any intentional about killing somebody, because he can't even imagine killing somebody. But on the other hand, the action which he and his villagers have done might have caused an accident which might have killed the people. But he is saying that he has never thought about, and then he is not aware of it, and then he will never kill because that is not even in their thoughts. Right? This is what we can find about the dark side of the peasant in this very story. At the same time too, we can find about the magistrate mentioned about the article, which you will find out here is 1081, alright, article 1081 of the code. It says that, look at it, whoever intentionally commits an act of injury to a railroad whereby an accident might result to the trains, and who knows that such an accident might result, do you hear that? Who knows, shall be severely punished. We could not, or you could not but have known what this unscrewing would lead to. The sentence is exile and hard labor. Now, according to the article 108 code, it is written that if a person intentionally or unintentionally might have brought a destruction to the railroads, and if that, if that could have brought an accident, then there is a severe punishment. That is an exile and a hard labor. Now, when I talk about an exile and a hard labor, is that, for example, like in many of the movies you might have seen about a person who is being imprisoned, they are given to do the hard work labor, alright? That's what it talks about. Or they might be exiled, which means, or they might be banished from the place where they were living. That is the article 1081 talks about the people who brought a destruction or who brings a destruction and might cause injury to the railroads or to the people, then they will be exiled or will be sent for the hard labor. To such of it, that's what we can find in article 1081, like any person who intentionally or unintentionally might have brought a destruction to the railroads, and through which if or might have occurred an accident and then some damage is being done, then they will be exiled or will be sent for a hard labor to the prisons. Now, to such of it, when Dennis Grigoriev heard about the word prison, he is saying that he had never done any crime, nor did he steal anyone belongings, nor did he kill anyone. Alright, he doesn't have even intentional or even thought about of killing somebody. And to this, we can find about how he was frightened. Alright, how Dennis Grigoriev was frightened, and then he kept on teaching to the magistrate that he had never done anything wrong. On the other hand too, we can find about how he blamed the railway watchman, because the railway watchman, Ivan Akinov, he got hold of the peasant collar and then he was struck to the magistrate office. That's the reason why he's saying that it is not he who have done a mistake, but it was the railroad watchman, Ivan Akinov, who had tracked him and then beaten him and was brought to the magistrate office. As an educated person, he should not have done that, but he was given he was asked to send to the prison for not what he had done, but for something that was done by the Balif or the railroad watchman. Alright, that's what we can find about the innocent side of Denis Grigoriev. Now, on the other hand, we can find about he was asked to set up and then not to pretend to be as a fool or to try to fool the magistrate, but he was told that he will be sent to the prison for the crime that he had done by unscrewing the nuts. But to this we can find about that he doesn't have a time. He is repeatedly asking magistrate if he can go, because he's saying that he have to take 3 rubles from Grigory for the tolo. Tolo means the fats of an animal. Grigory have taken the tolo, the fat animals, and for which Grigory have to pay him 3 rubles, right? And for that he have to go, and then he doesn't have any time. To this, the magistrate got angry and asked the bailiff or the watchman to take him to the prison and then to give him a befitting punishment. At the same time, we can find Denis Grigory is unaware of the mistake that he have done, and he's saying that it is because of his brother Grigory who haven't paid the rent that he is being sent to the prison. And then he keep on murmuring, or he keep on talking to himself, trying to justify himself by saying that he have never done anything wrong to be sent to the prison, because he have never killed somebody, or he have never even thought about bringing an injury or harm to the people. And he's saying that he, along with his 2 brothers, right? Along with his 2 brothers, they live, but because of the crime or because of not paying the rent by his 2 brothers, he is being sent to the jail, and the magistrate have done a misjudgment for what he has not done. Alright, that's what we can find in the story. We can find about how the conflict between the mindset of Denis Grigory could be seen, at the same time the magistrate could be seen. The magistrate was working with the law, alright, with the Article 1081 code, like some people or anyone who have caused or might cause harm intentionally or unintentionally to the railroads, then they will be exiled or sent for a hard labor. He was basing on it, and then he sent Denis Grigory in the end of the story to the prison. And Denis Grigory, till now, even to the end of the story, we can find it, he never realized about the mistake or the crime he have made by unscrewing the nuts. And almost all of the villagers, they have been unscrewing the nuts for the whole of their life in order to go for the fishing to use as a sinkers, because that was the only professions of the village of Kilimov.